Hello, I'm Amanda Tennant, and welcome to my Osteoporosis Pilates Mat series. All of the exercises that I've included within these workouts are appropriate for those who have low bone density, who are at high risk, or have a diagnosis of osteopenia or osteoporosis. It's really important that people with low bone density avoid a couple of positions. The first one being spinal flexion. We do not want to come into positions or exercises where we do a lot of rounding through the back, and that includes our posture. So it's very important to pay really close attention to your alignment and to stay lifting up and out of the body. That helps take excess pressure off of the spine. The other position we want to avoid or movement is coming into extreme ranges of spinal twisting or spinal rotation. So everything that we do in these routines will avoid coming into the flexion, coming into the rotation, and especially coming into both at the same time. It's really, really important for keeping your body safe. So the most common fracture sites in those with low bone density are of the spine, the hips, and the wrist. We're going to take special care to strengthen all of those areas in a really safe and appropriate way. Of course, with Pilates, we'll also be strengthening the core, working on our alignment, and we'll be focusing on our breathing, which when Pilates breathing is done appropriately, it actually applies really healthy stress to the ribs connecting around into our back, and we begin to strengthen the back as well. So it's great for people that have low bone density for keeping the bones strong in a really safe way. We're going to be using a couple of props through these workouts. So the first thing I have here is just an ordinary beach towel. You can use a beach towel, maybe a smaller, like a thinner blanket, or even like a bath towel. But I do want you to have something if you can. So what I've done with my beach towel, lengthwise, I folded it into half and then half again. So it was folded into fourths, so it's going to line up right underneath my spine as we lay on our backs. And then I halved the whole thing. And I'll explain a little bit more as we go into the workouts why we have that and how to position yourself on it. The other thing that I want you to obtain for these workouts is a couple of water bottles. So you need two. And I still have water in these. You want them to match so that they're the same size. We have water in them so that we don't crush them when we press into them. We'll be pressing into these to help strengthen the wrist. If you don't have a couple of matching water bottles, you could also use a set of small balls like medicine balls, weighted balls, or even tennis balls would work as well. Whenever we come down or come back up from the floor, we want to make sure we're doing what's called a log roll. We're literally going to be rolling like a log, like one unit. And we do that so we avoid those movements of flexion and twisting through the spine. So I will show you that as we go into each workout, and I will remind you. Also, as we transition through that roll, we're going to do it on an inhalation. The inhalation is going to give us more internal support. Again, we want to always be protecting these areas that are a bit more vulnerable to injury when we have low bone density. So I am excited to get started. I will see you in your workout. Thanks. Bye. Hi, thank you for joining me for the Osteoporosis Pilates Mat routine for beginners. I've already got my beach towel in place here. It is folded lengthwise into quarters and then it's halved, so it's going to fit nicely right along the length of my spine. And I have my two water bottles placed near the bottom edge of my beach towel. I want to leave a little bit of space here between my right hip and the bottom of the towel. When we lay down, I actually want my tush, my bottom is going to be off of the towel, and the rest of my spine, including my head, will be on the towel. We're going to come down and we want to log roll. We're going to come down really carefully, trying to keep the spine nice and straight and aligned. I'm going to draw my navel into my spine to help support the low back here. And then I'm just going to help myself down onto my side. So I'm going to come down. Again, I've got this towel kind of right underneath my hip so that when I roll back onto it, my bottom will be off of the towel and on my mat only. I'm going to lay all the way down. And then with an inhale, I'm going to roll back like a log. So one unit, so I'm not twisting through the spine, and then I can just reposition myself so I'm comfortable. So I want to feel the bottom edge of my towel right into my low back. It may even kind of fill up that space, and that's perfectly fine. And then I want to pick up my head Pull it back very gently and set it back down so that the back of the neck is very long here. You should not feel anything behind the neck. It should be open space here. You may have some openness underneath the low back, or it may be filled by the towel. Again, either way is perfectly fine for now. And then you should feel the weight behind the mid-back through the shoulder blades, and I just want the chest to be able to fall open, like it's falling nice and wide off of the edges of your towel or blanket. We're gonna just take a moment here, let the feet get really comfortable and grounded. We're gonna grab our water bottles, or if you have a set of small balls, and they're gonna come down long at your sides. And what I want you to do is to position the middle of the palm of each hand right on top of the bottle or the ball, so that you can gently press down into them. As we press into the balls or bottles, it's very important that this wrist stays long and neutral. So if you could imagine that you've got a steel cuff or a splint on your wrist, they're going to stay very straight. And I want the fingers to continue shooting across the room, so they're trying to touch the wall in front of you. So we have the chest dropping open and wide. The shoulders will move long away from the ears. Fingertips are reaching across the room, and you're gently pressing down into your water bottles to start to strengthen the arms and the wrist. From here, we're going to come into a shoulder shrug exercise. So this is where it is helpful to have the round bottles or balls. As you breathe in, we're simply going to shrug the shoulders up to the ears. Let the bottles roll with you. Continue pressing into them. And as you breathe out, you're going to roll down and away. So on the inhalation, the shoulders shrug up to the ears, and on the exhalation, they slide far down away, lots of length and long neck. Continue with this, inhaling to shrug up, exhale to release down. All the while, you're going to continue to gently draw your belly button in towards your backbone. So we just have this gentle, constant contraction of the low, deep abdominal muscles. Inhale, shrugging up, exhale, shrugging down. Take care that as you shrug your shoulders up, you don't also clench and grip with the muscles of the face. Let them soften here. Continue to let the chest be really wide. And let's just try one more like this. We're going to inhale, shrug the shoulders up, and then on that exhale, slide them really far down, long away from the ears, and just pause there. Make sure you're continuing to press the palms of the hands down into the water bottles. So from here, we're going to roll the invisible marble. I want you to pretend like you have a little marble sitting low on the pelvis, placed in between your belly button and your pubic bone. As you breathe in, I want you to roll the marble towards the feet by arching the back away from the mat. This should all be really comfortable. And as you breathe out, I want you to start to roll the marble towards the head. But again, we're not going to come into a lot of rounding and flexion. So you may just come until you feel that towel start to press into your back a little bit, and then that's far enough. So we inhale and roll the marble towards the feet. And as we exhale, we're coming back to more of a neutral position through the spine here. Perhaps you have a little bit of a tilt. Inhale, we roll the marble to the feet. This is bringing us into an anterior pelvic tilt. And as we exhale, we're going to hold off on coming into a real extreme posterior pelvic tilt. We come to neutral or just a little bit of a rounding where you start to feel the edge of that towel or blanket press into the small of the spine. Inhaling, rolling the marble away, exhaling, pulling and rolling the marble towards the head, and all the while we keep the stomach tightly drawn in. Okay, we're going to try 2 more breaths here. Again, you're still pressing down through the hands. You're keeping the tummy drawn in, and you're trying to keep width across the chest and a soft face. Good, relax. So now I want you to come into just kind of a flat position here. So we come into our neutral spine, and if I were to set a hot cup of coffee or tea on top of your pelvis, it would stay really still. Keeping the tummy drawn in, pressing the hands down into the water bottles, we're going to work on some Pilates breathing. As you take your inhale, I want you to imagine expanding and spreading the ribcage open to the sides of the room and filling up your back like it's pressing down into that blanket or towel. And then with the exhale, everything's going to spiral and come in towards center. So if you'd like, you can even release your balls or your bottles and bring the hands onto the low ribs. We're not going to push on the body, but you can use the hands just to feel how you're breathing. So the inhale is spreading the hands wider apart from one another, and then the exhale should just gently and naturally draw the fingertips closer together. So we inhale and spread the ribs apart, and then exhale, let the ribs come in. Again, the hands are just resting on the body. They're just kind of taking a free ride. If you want to use the hands, it can help you feel which direction the body is moving and perhaps help you to encourage more movement. So as we do this, as we fill the ribs up and mobilize the ribs, we start to strengthen and work the area of the back where the ribs come around and connect into the back. So we start to build bone strength here through the spine, which is really, really important. Okay, just one more breath, just settle in. Let this get really comfortable. See if you can keep the tummy tight as you breathe, which takes a little bit of coordination. Okay, if your hands have been resting on your rib cage, go ahead and replace them long at your sides, pressing down through the hands and reaching out through the fingertips. I want you to maintain your Pilates neutral position here so we continue to stay really flat on top. And we're coming into our level 1 piston exercise. As you breathe in, you're going to lift the right leg 90 degrees without moving the pelvis or the low back. And as you breathe out, you're going to gently set it down like you're coming on top of a bed of nails. So very soft and light pressure. And then we switch sides. So as we perform this piston exercise, inhaling the leg up, exhaling down, it is slow and controlled. And the pressure, again, is very light underneath the feet. The purpose here is to work the stomach muscles. We want to keep drawing the belly button down and into the spine, and we want to keep the pelvis very still. It's going to try to rock and wobble, and you're not going to let it. If you are pushing with your legs and you have a lot of pressure underneath the feet, then this doesn't become stomach strengthening work. It just becomes very easy, like you're marching your legs in place. That's not what we're after. I want you to feel this in the tummy. If you are not feeling the low belly engage, try to lighten the pressure underneath the feet. Again, you don't want the back to arch further away from your towel. And you want the top of you to be nice and flat, like a little serving tray. This is our last one. We'll exhale and lower all the way down. Continue pressing through the palms of the hands. We're going to prepare for knee dropouts. On the inhale, we let the right knee open to the right side of the room without lifting the pelvis. At some point, it's going to want to rise up. It's not allowed to. You will exhale and lift the right knee back up. We stay on the right leg. As you inhale and drop the knee open, the left side of the belly is controlling the movement, the opposite side of your stomach. So I want you to imagine that part of your stomach is pulling and lifting the leg. So once more, just like with our piston exercise, the pressure underneath the feet is very light. The involvement of the leg muscles is minimized here. We want the stomach to lower and lift the leg in a controlled fashion. Inhale, we drop the right knee open, and with the exhale, we pull it up from the left side of the belly. And I'd like for you to try one more, leading with this right leg. Inhaling open, continue pressing through the palms of the hands, draw the tummy nice and tight, and exhale, pull and lift. So we will switch to the left side for 5 repetitions. We inhale open, start nice and easy so you can test it out. Exhale to pull up and in. As you progress with this knee dropout exercise, you may find a couple of things happening. You may discover that you have more range, that you can take that leg open further without rotating the pelvis, but you also may find an improvement in the quality of movement. It may become more fluid, more smooth. Last one, please. Inhaling, open through that left knee, and then use this right side of the belly just to draw and pull it up very tightly. Good job. Okay, we're going to go into a modified version of the 100. This is a Pilates mat exercise. It's often used as a warm-up. We're going to lift the right knee like we did with piston so that it's in a nice tabletop position. The head will stay resting down. Draw the chin down in towards the throat to lengthen the back of the neck. The arms are going to float up and off of the bottles or the balls. They're going to be pumping at your sides as you breathe in for 5 and out for 5. And we'll do 5 breaths on each side. So it's going to look like this. You'll breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out. You're going to continue to keep the pelvis really still and steady. If you'd like more challenge, you can take the leg a little bit further out away from you. You should feel the low belly kick in. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last time, nice, long, strong arms. Take your exhale and relax. We're going to switch. So you can start in a tabletop, maintain neutral tight belly. You can take the leg out in front for more challenge. And we'll begin breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in. Two more breaths, in for 5 and out. Last exhale, and relax down. Nice job. From here, we're coming into single leg stretch. I want you to keep the bottom as it is. You're going to draw the right leg in. We're going to take the left hand across the leg to the opposite side of the knee. The right hand will come somewhere along the outside of the leg. So it may be close to the knee. It may reach a little bit further down to the ankle. Wherever it reaches is fine. Draw the tummy in tight. We're going to lift the left leg up towards the ceiling. It's okay if the knee is bent here. If it's bent, I'd like for you to keep it in a parallel position. If this left leg can straighten, then I want you to turn it out a little bit. So we have like a very small ballet turnout. It's narrow. As you breathe in, you're going to draw this right knee in towards the chest with a small pulse. And as you breathe out, we're going to switch legs. So we breathe in and we breathe out. As you lower the opposite leg closer to the floor, this becomes more difficult. It's fine to take it nice and low. It's going to get harder, but you want to continue drawing the tummy in. We want to make sure that the back is not further arching away from the mat or that the belly isn't flopping open and popping out. We want the tummy drawn in nice and tight. We have 4 more. Inhale, pulse it in. Exhale, reach and stretch the opposite leg long across the room. And last 2 times. So having the bottom on the floor and the towel into the back helps prevent coming into too much flexion here. It keeps us really safe. Just draw the knees down and in. Just relax here. We're going to bring the hands to the outsides of the ankles, and we're going to work on double leg stretch. We'll start with the upper body, and then we'll put the lower body with it. So as you breathe in, we're going to stretch the arms back overhead by the ears. They're going to circle around on your exhalation and they'll land right back here, coming to the outsides of your calves or your ankles. Tummy is drawn in nice and tight. So again, we don't want to flail the torso, the ribs stay tucked in, the belly stays tight. We exhale to wrap around. One more time. It's like a nice big stretch, but it's a controlled stretch. Exhale to wrap around. Good. Go ahead and lower the hands down to the balls or bottles. Press through. We're going to work on the legs. So as you breathe in, the legs are going to extend towards the ceiling. We're going to place a V in the feet. So it's okay if the knees are bent. You take it to where you can. Again, the lower the legs go, the more stomach work you're going to feel. As you exhale, they draw down and in. So we inhale, we shoot them out. If you can get the legs straight, you zip up the inner thighs together. And exhale, pull down and in. Okay, let's add it together. So the hands come to the outsides of the legs. As you breathe in, the arms stretch overhead and the legs will reach towards the sky. And as you breathe out, the arms circle around and the legs just hug in gently. Again, we want to avoid coming in too much spinal flexion. So we keep the bottom down on the mat. We let the edge of that towel come into the low back. We keep the tummy really tight. That helps to support the spine as well. So we inhale and reach out long like a noodle. And then we exhale and draw in. 2 more times, please. Inhale, reaching out. Exhale, draw it in. Last one. Exhale, draw it in. And then relax one leg down at a time. Hands will come back down onto the bottles or balls. We're going to come into a bridging exercise. I'd like for you to take the feet hip bone distance apart or sit bone distance apart, and they're going to be parallel. So we're just going to plant the feet. We want the toes to spread and relax. We'll keep the wrists straight and reaching long out through the fingertips. So as we bridge, we're going to lift up, kind of like we talked about with the log roll. We're going to lift up as one piece. So it's as if your body is a board. We're going to lift up until the weight centers on the mid-back, but we do not roll through the spine. We are not flattening the back and peeling up bone by bone. We're lifting as one piece. So I want you to press through the heels of the feet more than the balls of the feet. And you're going to inhale to lift straight up, keeping the pelvis as level across as you can. And as you breathe out, we want the tailbone to hit first. So my low back never rolls through onto the talon mat. And I set my bottom back down with control. So with the inhale, I place more weight through the heels. I squeeze through the hamstrings and the tush. My tummy stays tight. And then with the exhale, I'm going to lower down. All the while, we're going to continue pressing through the water bottles underneath the palms of the hands, shooting the fingers across the room. Inhale, press and lift. We're going to exhale and lower down. So this starts to build strength around the backside, the hips, belly. Get a lot of core work here in a really safe way when we lift as one unit. And exhale to lower down. The chest stays wide, the neck stays relaxed, and the face stays soft through all of this. Inhale, press and lift. Exhale, lower down. And we have a few more. Inhale, press and lift. Exhale, lower down. Couple more times, please. Draw it up. Make sure you're lifting as one piece and lowering as one piece so that only the bottom comes down and makes contact here. Last time, let's press it up. I want you to hold it up at the top. Just stay here and breathe. Take another inhale here, and on your next exhale, gently lower down. So we're going to come into a tush squeeze. I want you to keep that neutral position, so nice and flat on top, drawing the belly down and in. And all I want you to do is squeeze your bottom with your exhale. As you squeeze your bottom, I do not want you to flatten your back and roll up. I want you to stay neutral. You're just going to squeeze the bottom with your exhale, and then inhale, relax, and release. Exhale, squeeze the glutes. Inhale, soften. So small and tight. Tummy is drawn in. Squeeze the tush and relax. Exhale, squeeze and release. So there's a little bit of a pause. You exhale and squeeze it and hold it, hold it, hold it. Relax it. Keep going. Exhale, squeeze. Take care that the back still stays free from the mat. It's not squeezing as well. Okay, we have one more. Squeeze the bottom with your exhale. Inhale, relax, and release. Okay, we are going to set the water bottles or the balls to the side. We're finished with them for right now. We're going to roll up to a seated position. So again, we're going to log roll, like one piece to your side. You can roll to your right or your left side, but I want you to do so as you breathe in. So with a tight tummy, I'm going to inhale and roll as one piece, and I'm going to use my hand to help press up from here. Okay, we're going to also just set your towel or your blanket aside. We're finished with it as well. And we're going to come onto all fours. So this is a quadruped position, like you're crawling. And alignment is very important here. We'll bring the shoulders directly over the wrist. I want the fingers, the hands to spread really wide, and your middle finger is going to point straight ahead. If this is uncomfortable on the wrist, then you can grab your towel or blanket again and just set it underneath the heels of the hands on the folded edge, and that will make it a bit more comfortable. I would like for there to be a little bit of a bend in the elbows so that the hollows are facing one another, and then you want to take care to get your hips lined up right over the knees. So if I release my belly, I'm going to sag and look like this. It's like my belly's a hammock, and I don't want that. I'm going to draw the tummy up and in. So this is where I do not want you to do a lot of rounding. I don't want you to look like a rainbow, ever. Not through any of this. We are not going to round any more than our tabletop position. Nice and neutral here. Tight tummy. As you breathe in, I want you to look up in front and let the sit bones rise so you come into a nice long stretch. I want you to think about getting long through the spine as you're reaching up and out. And then with the exhale, we're going to come back to tabletop. So we do not round into a rainbow. I don't want to see that. You're going to inhale, look up in front, sit bones rise. And then exhale, come back to a neutral. So you should get some movement. You should get a nice stretch here. I want the tummy to stay tight, but this will be safe for the body. Inhale long, exhale back into a tabletop. We're just going to do one more. Inhale. This is kind of like the rolling the marble we did in the beginning of the routine. We're going to come back to tabletop. Now we're going to work on a balance. We'll take the left leg. You're going to just tuck the toes and press through the ball of the foot so you're reaching back out your heel. You should find a nice stretch here through the calf or the back of the heel area, through the Achilles. And then we're going to lift the leg to the ceiling. I don't care how high the foot goes. I want you to lift this from your backside. So I want the tush and the hamstring to lift the leg. And maybe it just hovers. Maybe it lifts as high as hip height, but I want the hips to stay square. I don't want to see any twisting or opening. We're going to keep everything nice and linear and squared off. So you should feel some work here. You should feel the left cheek and the left hamstring. I'm pulling my left toes in towards my shin, so I'm reaching back through the heel. If you are okay and steady here, we're going to take the opposite arm. So the right arm out in front with the thumb pointing to the ceiling, like you're shaking someone's hand. And we're going to lift this from the mid-back. So I'm lifting this from my shoulder blade and scapula. Again, I don't care how high the hand is. Maybe this is down low, but I want to feel the work happening at my back. And then with an exhale, we're going to release back to tabletop. And we're going to switch sides. So now I start to stretch and reach back through that right leg. I've got the toes tucked, I'm pressing through the heel. It should feel really good. Okay, activating the right cheek and hamstring, we lift the leg up, no higher than hip height, and hold and breathe. My eyes and my gaze are coming out onto the ground just in front of my hands so that my neck stays in line with my spine. And if you're feeling safe here and you'd like to add on, then we reach the left arm out with the thumb pointing to the sky, and then we draw the arm up, working from that left shoulder blade region. And breathe, inhaling through the nose, exhaling out through the nose or the mouth. And with an exhale, we release it all. Good job. Okay, we're gonna walk the hands out slightly in front of the shoulders. We're going to draw down and forward through the hips. So I just have a nice long line from the crown of my head to my shoulder, to my hip, to my knee. So I'm in what's called a knee down plank. As I exhale, nice tight stomach, I'm going to bend my elbows close to my body and lower all the way down to the ground. And I have to readjust my microphone. There we go. Okay, so you're going to stay laying all the way down, and I want you to open the legs to the width of your mat or slightly wider. So I want the legs wider than your hips, and I want them turned out. So my toes are facing outward to the sides of the room. My forehead is resting into the mat. My hands are right next to my shoulders or under my shoulders, and I'm going to draw my shoulders down long from my ears. Engaging the belly here like you're lifting it up off of the floor. I want you to breathe in, get long through the spine, and begin to float up the upper body. I do not want you to lift the head and look up at the sky. I don't want any cranking or pressure on the neck. That can cause an injury. Keep the neck nice and long. And then what I would like for you to do is see if you can release or lighten the pressure underneath your hands. So we're really working from that upper and mid back. Hands can come back to the mat. And with an exhale, we're going to rest back down. I do not want any low back pain with this. The movement is small. We inhale to float up, and the spine is getting long here. We don't care how high we get. We're getting long. See if you can release the hands. Place the hands back onto the mat. Exhale to lower down. We're going to inhale and lift up. This is a fabulous exercise for strengthening the upper back. And we'll lower down in a really safe fashion. One more time. Inhale, getting long, creating lots of space through the backbones as you lift. Release the hands if you can. And then we will lower back down. Good job. From here on an inhale, we're going to roll onto our side. We're going to come into side lying. And what I'd like you to do is keep the back long and straight along the back edge of your mat. Okay, so I'm right along the back edge. And you get to choose with your upper body. You can lay down on your arm. You can prop up onto your hand. You can even bring both arms in front and maybe bring a small cushion or a blanket folded and bring it underneath the head. So whatever is most comfortable for you, as long as the neck can relax here. I don't want it to feel strained. And then we're going to take the legs forward to the front edge. So I have a diagonal here. I've got my head and my shoulder and my hip all lining up in a straight line. And then I've got a diagonal coming forward about a 45-degree angle out through the legs. This front hand can rest down on the ground to help steady you if you need it for balance. To make this a bit more difficult, you can lift the hand up to the hip. Okay, I want you to take this top leg and just float it a couple of inches up off of the bottom leg. And again, of course, you've got this tummy drawn in. I want you to also pull the toes towards the shin of this top leg. And then I want you to take the toes and slightly turn them, angle them down to the ground. So I'm in internal rotation at this hip. And with my exhale, I'm going to raise the leg, but I'm just coming a little bit higher than hip height. It's not this big, huge thing. And if we stay internally rotated, that's gonna limit how far you lift. And as I inhale, I will lower down and I'm just gonna hover the leg. If you need to rest it down, you can, but if you can hover it, please do so. So I exhale to lift it up and I inhale to lower down. You can have this front arm down in front of you for balance. Exhale up. And I'm not holding my breath, but I am pausing at the top of the motion here. So I want to start to feel this working up into that top cheek. Tummy is drawn in. My hips stay stacked, my shoulders stay stacked, and my upper body stays really still here. I don't want any wobbling or wiggling around. I want it to be very controlled. Exhale, lift it up. Inhale down. Let's try 4 more. Again, for more challenge, you can just rest your hand at your hip. A little tougher. Now we're going to hold this last one up and we're going to take little pulses to the ceiling. We're going to press it up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3 more, 8, 9, 10. Rest it all the way down. You can rub it out if you need to. We're going to do one more exercise here that's going to start to work up into the abductors, your outer thigh, and up into the bum. Again, you're going to float the leg, but this time I want you to turn the toes towards the ceiling. As you do that, you're not allowed to rock, and you're not allowed to let that top hip roll back, so the hip stays stacked. So I have a little bit of turnout. Now I've got my Pilates style stance, and I'm in external rotation. We're going to let the leg stay in line with the hip, so my hip and knee and foot are all kind of in the same line and space. And I'm going to start to draw small circles up and around. Each time it's as if my heels were to come down and touch, like they're clicking. They may or may not do that, but that's that's the direction that they're moving in. So we have one more, and we're going to go the other way. So reversing your circle, tummy stays tight, and again, the upper body stays really still. I want the face and the neck to be comfortable and relaxed. 2 more, you should feel this in that top cheek. Last time, we're going to circle and then relax down. I want you to now bend both knees. So if we were to make a straight line coming out from the hip, like a 90-degree angle, I don't want you to come that far. So I have a long line here. My knees are lower than that 90-degree. I'm going to keep the hips stacked. I'm going to let my hand just rest down comfortably in front. So for clamshells, as I exhale, I'm simply going to lift this top knee, but I am not going to roll the top hip back. And then I'm going to lower down, hovering if I can. So I'm going to breathe out to lift it up. That's my exhale. And as I inhale, I come down. And if you need to rest it down, you can. But if you can hover it, you'll get a bit more strengthening out of this. Exhale to lift up. Tummy stays drawn in nice and tightly. We have 7 more. Exhale, squeeze it up. And lower down. And last 5 repetitions. Exhale, squeeze it up. You should feel that top cheek. It should be nice and warmed up now. And 3 more. Exhale, squeeze it up. Again, there's just a slight hesitation at the top of the movement, but never holding of the breath. Okay, and then carefully press up to a seated position, and we're going to come down and do the other side. So we start by lining up along the back edge of the mat. You can choose if you'd like to lay down on that arm, or if you would like to prop up on your hand or use a pillow. Any of those options are fine, just as long as that neck is in line with your spine. And then we're going to take the legs forward so that they're on that diagonal angle. And my hips are stacked as well as the shoulders. You can bring that front hand to rest in front of you, or it can come to your hip. We're going to float the top leg up, and then this is where I want you to pull the toes in towards the shin and then drop the toes down. So we're coming into internal rotation. And then exhale, we start to raise the leg towards the ceiling, not too high, but high enough to feel it. Inhale to lower down and just hover. Exhale, squeeze it up. Inhale, soften it down. Exhale to lift. Keep pulling the belly in towards the backbone. That will help to support you. It will also help to keep your upper torso nice and still and really controlled here. Exhale, squeeze it up. We have 4 more. Exhale, squeeze. Okay, we're gonna hold the next one up, and we're gonna add those little pulses again. So we're just gonna exhale and press it up a little bit higher to the ceiling. It should be small and very intense up here in that top cheek. 4 more, press, and 2, and 3, and 4. Relax it down, release it, rub it out if you need to. We're gonna move into our small leg circles. So again, we're going to float the leg up so it's in line with my hip, but I'm going to add that turnout. So it's coming more towards of a ballerina, external rotation turnout. And we'll start with our circles, like we're clicking the heels together. You just breathe naturally through this, really slow and controlled, and keeping everything stacked and level. We have 1 more this direction, and then we're gonna reverse. Up and around. I feel that top cheek, so I know you do too. One more, relax, and we're moving into clamshell. So again, the knees bend and stack, but they just come in a little bit. So my 90-degree line is about here. They're not that far. With an exhale, I'm going to let the top knee open, keeping my hips stacked. They're gonna try to roll, I'm not gonna let them. And then inhale just to hover right here. Exhale, opening, and inhale to soften. This is our last exercise. We're almost finished. Exhale, open. Inhale, soften down. 5 more clamshells. Exhale, press it open. Squeeze that cheek. Inhale to soften. Exhale. Let this top shoulder stay really soft. Relax the face. And we have one more. Exhale, press it open. Inhale to relax and press up from here. Great job. We are finished. So once you feel really comfortable with these exercises and you feel like you've mastered this routine, then I hope to see you in the intermediate workout where we will add some new things and we'll build on to what we have here. And you can continue to grow and progress in a really safe way for your body. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.